Echoes of Wisdom was a bold step for the Zelda series. For the first time in a mainline Legend of Zelda title, we played as Zelda and not Link. Armed with a magical staff and the power to summon echoes of objects and monsters, this wasn't just a role reversal, it was a complete rethinking of how a Zelda game could play. Well, now the dust has settled and the credits have rolled, one big question remains: so where does the top-down Zelda series go from here? Do we double down on Zelda as a protagonist? Do we go back to Link? Or maybe do we do something completely new? Fans have got a lot to say about Echoes of Wisdom, from its creative mechanics to its controversial art style, and buried in those reactions are clues as to what Nintendo might be planning next. Well, today I'm going to take everything that Echoes of Wisdom set up, everything that fans are asking for, and everything we know about how Nintendo works, and try to predict what the next top-down Zelda game is going to look like. Well, if you enjoyed the video, hit that subscribe button down below for even more Zelda content here on Trifroce Times, and stick around to the end of the video for an exclusive offer to channel members. Well, first of all, let's have a look at what Echoes of Wisdom set up. So, Echoes of Wisdom introduced a lot of fresh ideas, some that feel like one-time experiments, and others that could define the future of top-down Zelda. The most obvious shift was the protagonist, Zelda herself, finally took centre stage. That alone was huge. Her playstyle was a little bit slower, more puzzle focused, and leaned into her title as the bearer of wisdom. Whether fans loved it or hated it, it did challenge the long-standing assumption about what kind of hero a Zelda game needs to have. The echo mechanic was another big swing, so rather than collecting traditional tools like a boomerang or a hookshot, players could replicate objects and enemies from the world and summon them on command. It was a pretty clever evolution of Nintendo's new favourite design language, player creativity. It echoed the sandbox freedom of Tears of the Kingdom, but in a top-down puzzle box format. It wasn't perfect by any means, and fans complained about the clunky menus and how overpowered some of the echoes became, but I do think it laid a good foundation for the future. So it's easy to imagine future games building on that concept in a smarter, cleaner way. On the surface, the game seemed whimsical and simple, but it quietly experimented with structure. It managed to balance linear design with open exploration, including multiple ways to solve puzzles, and even played with the story progression more than some of the recent entries. However, not everything landed. Critics of the game pointed to the lack of dungeon purpose, shallow NPC interactions, and a story that was occasionally lackluster. It's clear while Echoes of Wisdom was full of ideas, Nintendo may have been holding back, either to keep the game accessible or to test the waters before going a little bit deeper next time. We got the art style as well, so based on Link's Awakening remake, the toy-like glossy visuals sparked quite a mixed reaction. Some fans loved the charm and the colour, others found it too plastic, too cute, or just not fitting for the tone that they wanted from a Zelda game. If there's one visual lesson Nintendo likely took from this, its future 2D Zelda titles are going to need a fresh aesthetic, one that feels more timeless and less divisive. Okay, next up, let's have a look at what Zelda fans want. So if Echoes of Wisdom gave us a glimpse of what's possible, fans have been pretty loud and clear about what they want, and it's not just more of the same. So I asked the Trifroce Times community, and across dozens of responses, one theme really stood out. Players are ready for the next top-down Zelda game to be bolder and more complex, and even more daring. So while many appreciated the creativity of the echoes, it often felt like Nintendo was playing it very safe, and that safety came at the cost of more challenge and depth. So one of the most common requests was related to the difficulty, and they wanted a harder game. So fans want puzzles that push spatial reasoning and combat that actually tests their skills. So Romulus879 put it very, very well. I'd like a more difficult game than Echoes of Wisdom or A Link Between Worlds. My biggest complaint is the low level of difficulty. Tamir Moore R8B echoed the sentiment by saying Echoes of Wisdom was way too easy, even while admitting it was still a good game overall. The dungeon design also came under fire, not because it wasn't fun, but because it lacked purpose. Players want dungeons to feel like real places with narrative weight, and not just gameplay zones. So Cora, Maria explained, while its dungeons were fun to play through, there wasn't really much of a reason for why those dungeons existed in the first place. They did praise the other games like Twilight Princess for making their temples feel like they belonged in the world. So then we got the art style debate, which did spark some of the strongest opinions from the community. Some loved the toy-like aesthetic carried over from Link's Awakening remake, but others found it too childish or too sterile. So the real PS killer 502 did not hold back. They're saying love that it exists but hate the art style. And then another fan, Thierry's85, they said they want a gorgeous new art style, nothing pixely or toy-like, but something really fresh and something original. So fans also expressed a desire for more ambitious or innovative formats. One of the most interesting recurring ideas was a Zelda Maker, a custom creation tool in the spirit of Mario Maker. Dark Dragon Medeus 705 summed up the dream by saying, "I've asked for a Legend of Zelda Maker where you can not only build dungeons but also build your own overworld maps," and others asked for co-op gameplay, like Tied Up in Smoke Stacy. They imagined a dynamic where Zelda takes on a more puzzle-based playstyle, and Link is more in combat and also in exploration. Also, there's quite a loud, resounding call from the fanbase for remakes of the Oracle games, or even A Link to the Past. These requests come from both nostalgia and also a desire to see those classic reimagined with a modern polish. So Leanne put it well, saying a remake of the Oracle titles is overdue and would be amazing to see. So whether the fans are asking for a challenge, storytelling style, or creative tools, one thing is very clear: Zelda fans are ready for the top-down Zelda series to level up. And hopefully we're going to see it on the Nintendo Switch 2. Well, next up, let's have a look at Nintendo themselves and their patterns and the possibilities for the future. So to predict what Nintendo might do next, it helps understand how they operate. And when it comes to Zelda, there is a pattern. So Nintendo doesn't really like to repeat the same gimmick twice in a row, and they also rarely throw ideas away completely. Instead, they refine them, they remix them, or they carry their spirit onto the next big experiment. Just look how the open-ended puzzle solving in Breath of the Wild evolved into Tears of the Kingdom's construction mechanics, so it's a certain amount of iteration and not necessarily duplication. So when it comes to top-down Zelda, I wouldn't expect Echoes of Wisdom 2, but don't be surprised if the next game builds off the core philosophy. Nintendo clearly wants players to express creativity and solve problems in multiple ways, and approach the world less like a checklist and more like a sandbox. The Echo mechanic may not return in its exact form, but something similar, maybe like spellcasting, object manipulation, or even building custom dungeons. That would fit right into the direction. Another clue is in the development studios. For example, Grezzo has been behind several of the recent top-down Zelda titles. If they are still involved, then the next game could either be another remake, so the Oracle games come to mind, they are most requested by fans, or maybe a new entry using an updated version of the same engine. This would also align with Nintendo's usual strategy: recycle strong tech to reduce development time, whilst also layering in a new twist. Of course, we can't ignore the Nintendo Switch 2, so we've got a new system, and that means new opportunities. For example, co-op play, better visuals, maybe even the Zelda Maker that is encouraging user-generated content. Nintendo loves giving players tools to be creative, from Mario Maker to Tears of the Kingdom, and Zelda's dungeon-driven structure is a perfect fit for that. So it wouldn't be surprising if the next 2D Zelda includes a creation mode alongside a full single-player campaign. Ultimately, Nintendo's next move will probably feel familiar but surprising, just like Echoes of Wisdom. They'll take what worked, listen to feedback, and remix it into something no one is quite expecting. Whether that means a new art style, a new protagonist dynamic, or even a new full creative suite, one thing is for sure: I don't think Nintendo are done experimenting with Zelda. So where does all this leave us in terms of top-down Zelda and what it means for the next iteration? Well, Echoes of Wisdom was a creative gamble, one that redefined who could be the hero, and also how puzzles can be solved, and what a top-down Zelda can look like. So whether you loved it or really didn't like it, it's clear it's already reshaping expectations for the future games. So based on Nintendo's habits and the response from fans, and also the possibilities that the Switch 2 hardware brings, the next top-down Zelda could go in a few different directions. We might get a bold new game with smarter mechanics and a darker tone, and hopefully a new art style. Also, we might finally get a remake of the Oracle titles, or if Nintendo wants to go all in on creativity, we will finally get that Zelda maker. I definitely like the idea of not just only making dungeons, but making overworld maps too. That would be very, very interesting indeed. And what with the social features and the power of the Switch 2, I think we could actually see that come into fruition. So whatever comes next, one thing is absolutely certain: top-down Zelda that is no longer just lost to history or a side series. It's evolving, it's experimenting, it's carving out a future that is just as exciting as the 3D open world games, and maybe even more. Well, let me know in the comments what you think. What do you think about the next top-down Zelda game? What do you think it should be? Should we return to Link? Should we have another adventure with Zelda? Or do you want a dungeon and overworld builder? Well, as always, thank you so much for watching or for listening. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below for even more Zelda content here on Trifroce Times. Thanks again, and I'll see you real soon. Well, thank you so much for watching the video, but today I'd like to let you know about the Trifroce Times store. If you like Trifroce Times content and you want to get some merchandise, then browse the online store today. We've got t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and loads more in all shapes and sizes and colours. Also, if you didn't see something on the store that you want, then let me know in the comments. Comment on the video and let me know what you want to see in the merch store, and I will make it happen. So if you enjoy Trifroce Times and want to go above and beyond to support, then the store is a great place to do that. And also, you're going to get some high quality merchandise as well, so check out the Trifroce Times store today, with a selection of merch below each video, and you can also check out the store link in the description if you'd like to browse the whole store. Well, this video is brought to you by Trifroce Times Backstage. This is available through Patron or YouTube membership, and you're going to get exclusive benefits, plus you'll be able to go above and beyond to support Trifroce Times. Free content is core to Trifroce Times, and you can continue to enjoy these videos that you know and love. However, if you want to enjoy the benefits like early access, our community Discord, shoutouts in the credits of videos, content polls and exclusive videos, then select the tier that is right for you and join Trifroce Times Backstage today. So help me make Trifroce Times be even bigger and better, plus you're going to get some added benefits for a small fee every month. Well, thank you for listening, and now it is time to go back to the video.